Good morning. Good morning. The rain shouldn't have affected our voices, isn't it? Good morning, Mr. President and Chairman of Council, ably represented by Deputy President, Mr. Akin Oshuntoki, members of Council and patrons, members of Executive Committee, EXCO, our distinguished guest speaker, esteemed moderator, valued sponsors and partners, captains of industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, NBCC, I warmly welcome you to the NBCC Business Innovation Series 2026, themed Digitizing Business, Building Scalable, Future-Ready Enterprises. My name is Tajuddin Ahmed. I'm one of the vice chairmen at the Chamber and also the chairman of the Programs Committee of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. It is my honor and privilege to guide us through today's session. To formally commence the proceedings today, may I respectfully request that we all rise up for the Nigerian and British national anthems. Media, please.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes of may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
I would like to apologize on behalf of the Chamber that our tradition is never to start our events late. I reckon because of the showers of blessings that we had this morning, people got stuck in traffic, and that's why we started a bit behind schedule. We are the foremost bilateral Chamber of Commerce in this country, and we do everything right at every time. Distinguished guests, welcome to the maiden edition of NBCC Business Innovation Series, a new platform established by the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce to foster forward-thinking conversations that equip businesses with knowledge, strategies, and partnerships needed to thrive in an increasingly digital economy. Today's theme, digitizing business, building scalable, future-ready enterprises, could not be more timely. Across every sector, digital technologies are transforming how businesses operate, compete, and create value. From artificial intelligence and automation to digital payments and data analytics, technology has become a key driver, certainly of growth and competitiveness. However, digital transformation goes beyond technology. It requires visionary leadership, innovation, and the willingness to rethink business models to meet the demands of a rapidly evolving marketplace. Businesses that embrace this transformation will be better positioned to scale, improve efficiency, and unlock new opportunities. We're particularly honored to host our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Stanley Jacob, who one of our council members generously on a jocular note said that should patent the name Stanley Jacob, so that by the time we're speaking about it the next time, we'll have Stanley Jacob patented. President of FinTech Nigeria and the Group Chief Innovation and Technology Officer at Meristem Group, whose expertise in innovation and digital transformation provide valuable insights for today's discussion. I'm also delighted to, on behalf of the Chamber, welcome Ms. Oluwatosin Olasende, founder and CEO of Money Africa, as our moderator for today's event. My experience in financial innovation and entrepreneurship will undoubtedly enrich today's conversation, certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, I trust that today's keynote address, fireside chat, and networking session will inspire fresh ideas, foster meaningful collaborations, and equip us all to build scalable, future-ready enterprises. I need you to prepare your hands as I welcome our Deputy President, standing in for our President and Chairman of Council, Prince Abimbola Olashere, our own Mr. Akin Oshuntoki, Deputy President, to deliver his welcome address. Let's make that applause rapturous. It's not enough. It's still not enough. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge. I bring good tidings from the President. He is not here physically, obviously, but I guess he's online watching this event. Dear patrons, council members, ESCO members, esteemed members of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by thanking every one of us for making it through the Lekki floods to get here at this time. It's also appropriate that I thank you sincerely for the successes that we recorded in the past presidential year. This is the first event since our AGM in July, and I think the year that just closed was a sterling success in every measure. I think that the good people in NBCC deserve a round of applause. It is my distinct honor and great pleasure to welcome you to the maiden edition of the 2026 NBCC Business Innovation Series. By creating this event, we are not just ticking a box. The business environment has become very dynamic, and any business that will survive must innovate, recreate itself in order to remain relevant and fresh. It is no longer a slogan. It is something that needs to be done. Today we gather under a timely and forward-looking theme: digitizing business, building scalable, future-ready enterprises. The theme speaks directly to the realities of today's rapidly evolving business landscape. It reminds us that technology is no longer simply a tool for efficiency, but a strategic driver of growth, competitiveness, and long-term sustainability. Business innovation is about finding new and better ways to create, deliver, and capture value. Across industries, businesses are rethinking how they operate, compete, and create value by embracing digital transformation, innovation, and data-driven solutions in an increasingly interconnected global economy. Organizations that build scalable and future-ready enterprises will be best positioned to seize emerging opportunities and remain resilient in the face of change. The NBCC Business Innovation Series is both a platform of dialogue and a catalyst for action. It brings together corporate leaders, innovators, investors, and key ecosystem stakeholders to explore practical solutions that are transforming industries and shaping the future of enterprise. More importantly, it provides a trusted environment for fostering collaboration, strengthening partnerships, and connecting traditional institutions with emerging innovation. As a chamber committed to promoting bilateral trade, sustainable enterprise, and inclusive economic growth, we recognize that innovation is no longer confined to technology companies alone. It has become a strategic imperative for every organization seeking to remain relevant and competitive. By creating opportunities for meaningful engagement between businesses, innovators, and investors, we are helping to build an ecosystem where ideas become solutions, partnerships become investments, and innovation translates into sustainable economic growth. We are privileged to have with us our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Stanley Jacob, President of FinTech NGR and Group Chief Innovation and Technology Officer of Meristem. Please, let's welcome him with a very warm applause. His remarkable leadership in technology and innovation reflects the essence of today's theme. His wealth of experience in driving digital transformation and building technology-enabled enterprises will undoubtedly provide valuable insights into how organizations can embrace innovation, scale sustainability, and compete effectively in the digital economy. I also warmly welcome our moderator, Ms. Oluwatosin Olasende, founder and chief executive officer of Money Africa. She deserves an applause. Her expertise and industry perspective will enrich today's fireside conversation. I would also like to express our profound appreciation to our valued sponsors. Without them, we will not be able to move idea into action, which is what innovation is all about. Their generous support has made this event possible. So please help me appreciate Rise Vest Technologies Limited, Page Financials, again and again, Arua Capital Management, and Smart Cash Payment Service Bank Limited. That is not adequate for what they have done. May I ask that we keep on clapping for them? Some of them have supported now and again, and I know they will still support. Their CEOs are here, so let them get the receipt for the money they have paid. Again. Your commitment to advancing innovation, enterprise development, and business excellence goes beyond sponsorship. It demonstrates leadership and a shared belief in building a stronger, more competitive business ecosystem. We thank you for partnering with the Chamber, the foremost bilateral chamber, in driving conversations that will shape the future of enterprise in Nigeria. I also extend sincere appreciation to the Dynamic Programs Committee and the HQ. Please help me appreciate them for their dedication and tireless efforts in putting this important event together. Friends and associates always ask me what the formula is that NBCC keeps putting together, keeps curating programs that add value and that really cut across the real essence of business today. And I say to them, they should come for tutorials. Then we'll be able to tell them how it works. But really, I appreciate the programs committee again. They have the formula. On behalf of NBCC, the foremost bilateral chamber, I thank you all for joining us this morning. I encourage you to engage actively. We must begin to increase intra-chamber business. So when we come, let's spend time to exchange cards, introduce ourselves. And I'd like to give you a presidential mandate this morning. Before you leave this place, make sure that you meet at least 15 people. 15 people. Exchange your cards. Let them know what to do. Because that is the whole idea. We are here for business, not for tea party. Thank you very much and have a very good time.
That applause is not sufficient. But we appreciate our Deputy President again. Let's do that once more. Our DP, Mr. Aki Oshitoki, thank you for your rousing welcome address. You read from the script. And you also spoke from your heart away from the script. Thank you so much, DP. So without much ado, we go ahead with the program. We invite the Chief Operating Officer of Rise Vest Technologies Limited, Mr. Awa Ekekwe, to give his goodwill message. Let's appreciate our sponsors, Rise Vest, for their goodwill message. He's a tall man. Let's appreciate him.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Deputy President of the NBCC, the Executive Council, all organizers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First off, it's an honor to support the work that the NBCC is doing. It's a privilege to be here to address us. And putting together an event like this is something that is wonderful. And please, let's appreciate the NBCC. A round of applause for that. Thank you very much. This morning I have a short goodwill message on the topic digitizing businesses, scaling and trying to build future-ready organizations. When we hear future-ready, some of us would think, 2030, 2050. But I think the future is here, right? We can feel it, we can see it. Technology, the world is moving really, really fast, and sometimes we are just trying to catch up. Digital advancement in every area of life. So my charge to us first and foremost is, don't think the future is far off. The future is here already. And if there is anything, business idea, hobby, whatever it is you're trying to do, the time to start is now. So digitizing businesses at the very basic level, when you talk digitization, you're talking trying to remove manual processes through digital tools, basically trying to remove friction from businesses, trying to make it seamless to drive the value you want to drive to your users at the basic level. That's digitization. And it goes without saying that in today's world, if a business is trying to scale, if a business is trying to say that it is future ready, then you can't do without technology, especially in this part of the world where the odds are already stacked against you in terms of scaling a business. I'm not sure there's anybody in the room here who doesn't, understand the importance of technology. So I wouldn't belabor that. What I would like to say is that technology in and of itself is the skeleton, right? At the end of the day, humans are very critical to whatever technological advancements that you hope to achieve. These days of artificial intelligence, your ChatGPTs, your Claude, those tools are as good as the prompts that you feed into them. If you feed it a wrong prompt, you see a wrong idea. So in as much as we talk about technology, we talk about advancements, we talk about AI, the muzzle of businesses in this time and age are still the people. It's your culture, it's your processes, it's your governance structure that you leverage technology on so that the foundation in and of itself is strong, which is, again, why what NBCC is doing today is very important. Bringing people in the room to collaborate, to have these discussions is something wonderful. And then on that foundation, you can begin to leverage technology and technological advancements. So once again, please, another round of applause for the NBCC. Before I drop the mic, just want to highlight what RiseVest is doing. Leveraging technology. Today, we've been able to build a financial ecosystem that really covers the financial journey, the process of really creating wealth end to end. We've been able to democratize access to, the stock markets on the NGX, which, by the way, is doing amazing things. Access to the US foreign stocks. All of this from the comfort of your mobile phone. You don't need to stress about it. You can have access to US properties, both managed and direct purchases on the RiseVest platform. Talk about private equity, debt equity with our subsidiary firm, asset base. So the entire suite is something that's available from your mobile devices, from the comfort of your home. And simple. And of course, we've been able to do that leveraging technology, which is the topic we're talking about today, digitizing businesses. And so if there is any this morning, it's to ask yourself, as I leave this place, what manual process, what area of friction can I eliminate from my business? This quarter, just pick one. look into your business, entrepreneurs in the room, business leaders in the room. How can I make the life of my users easier? What manual process will I be eliminating this quarter? And as we continue to collaborate and brainstorm ideas, like the Deputy President has said, there are a lot of think tanks in the room, there are a lot of industry leaders in the room. Reach out, have conversations, collaborate, and I wish all of us a very impactful event. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ekwekwe. Let's appreciate our sponsors, RiseVerse Technologies Limited. That applause is not enough. Without our sponsors, wouldn't have been here. I have the authority of Mr. Deputy President seated here physically with us, and also Mr. President via remote authority. To respond to a certain thing that Mr. Ekwekwe mentioned when he gave his goodwill message, to the effect that RiseVerse Technologies Limited are up and doing regarding US assets and properties. Because of who we are, when are you starting marketing UK properties? That will interest us. You can give us the answer offline after the event or during the networking session. Thank you once again for the good message, RiseVerse. Media, could you take a cue from me? Sponsors video adverts, RiseVerse Technologies Limited. Thank you, RiseVerse. Let's appreciate them once more. So I have the honor to bring the guest speaker for his guest speaker speech. But before then, I need to introduce him. Stanley and I had come a long way in my past life at Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN. And I remember when somebody, you are giggling. I remember when somebody saw the picture I took with him, I said, who is this man? I said, this man is the KBAC of FinTech. He's the Eze of FinTech. He's the Seriki of FinTech, if I can describe him that way. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker today, Dr. Stanley Jacob. He's the president of FinTech Nigeria and Group Chief Innovation and Technology Officer, GCITO at Meristem Group. With extensive experience spanning digital transformation, enterprise innovation, financial technology, and technology strategy, Dr. Jacob has played a pivotal role in advancing innovation within Nigeria's financial services sector. Through his leadership at Meristem and FinTech Nigeria, he has championed initiatives that promote collaboration between industry stakeholders, technology providers, regulators, and policymakers to accelerate Nigeria's digital economy. His expertise is in leveraging emerging technologies to build resilient, customer-centric, and future-ready organizations, make him exceptionally well-positioned to lead today's conversation on how businesses can successfully navigate digital transformation while remaining competitive in an increasingly dynamic business environment. We are confident that these insights with business leaders will inspire business leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators, and policymakers to embrace technology as a catalyst for sustainable growth and long-term success. Guiding our conversation today is the moderator, Mrs. Oluwatosin Olashen, the founder and chief executive officer of Money Africa. I have the honor and privilege to bring forward for his keynote speech for 15 minutes, Dr. Stanley Jacob, SJ for short. Let's give him a round of applause. Let that applause reflect the size of this person that is going to speak with us. It's still not enough. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think I so love the NBCC. Whenever you are coming for the programs, you eat well so that you can clap well. Thank you so much. And it's my pleasure to be here. The president of the Nigerian-British. Okay. Where is the presentation? Slightly. Okay. Thank you. The president of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, and our deputy president. So nice to meet you. Good morning. Distinguished members of the NBCC board and council. My moderator, I met her yesterday, Ms. Oluwatosin Olasende. Fellow business leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators, policymakers, investors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yeah. So it's a pleasure and a rare privilege to deliver these keynotes this morning at the NBCC Innovation Series. I appreciate and I commend the Chamber for creating this platform, as it is one that moves us to not just talking about technology, but by looking at what technology can do and to what our businesses must become. The theme, digitizing business, building scalable, future-ready enterprises, is one that is quite needed at this time. Whether you're an investor, a business owner, an executive, this is what we should be talking about. And it's most appropriate for the chamber to lead this conversation. Interestingly, the NBCC sits in between two interesting digital economies, as the name implies. And every day as we interact, the engagements are increasingly intertwined. UK-Nigeria bilateral trade has reached an all-time high of £8.1 billion annually. And the growth is increasingly being driven by digital and technology services. Nigerian fintechs like Lemfi, MoneyPoint, Kuda, they're all scaling their UK operations. So each time I want to tease my friends, I say to them, if you really want to be a unicorn, then you're the founder, you need to first of all go to stay in UK or US. And people don't know why we joke about that a lot. So I can say that safely in this room. The moment you begin to process billions of dollars in transactions, you become a target sometimes. You know, every day, if NFI is not inviting you, EFCC invites you, so just go and live in London. So this chamber is very important. So you first stay there so that your operations can work. Otherwise, every Friday, you bill yourself to continue. But that's on a lighter note. British fintechs, likewise, have just secured their first Nigerian license. UK Export Finance, doing a lot, millions of pounds, to modernize Apapa and Tinkan ports. I was privileged about 2-3 years ago to be a part of the payment digitization of the Lekki deep sea port. And building the workflow and all of those things was truly a learning curve for me. And I do not take that opportunity for granted. Because most people will say fintech, everything narrows down to payments until you begin to deal with other ecosystems like digitization in health, in imports, in trade, investment where I am now is a whole different level of complexity. So we are clear that we have to digitize. And most times the question is, how fast enough should we do this? How deeply enough should we do this? How wisely enough should we do this to capture the share of the future? With the permission of the President and the executives of the NBCC, I will dive into that quickly. First is the urgency. How urgent enough should we do it? So how urgent enough should we do it? I'll start with a candid observation. And the truth is that, unlike how we used to say it 5 years ago, the gap between companies that are digitally native and those that are not, and those that are also born with cloud data in their DNA is widening every day. And legacy enterprises that are still running critical operations, desktop applications, manual approvals, and all kinds of systems that they've gotten comfortable with, they're gradually being left behind. It's no longer about how big you are. So it's no longer about talking of a technology gap. It's more about a survival gap. Consider what has happened in our own market here in Nigeria. The Nigeria digital transformation market is estimated at nearly $14 billion this year, 2026. And is growing at close to 18% annually. Projected to reach over $31 billion by 2031. In the first half of 2025 alone, the digital economy contributed approximately 7 trillion naira to our GDP and 14% to total economic output. Our payment switches licensed, they process volumes in excess of 600 trillion naira as of 2024. And for the first time in Africa, Nigeria became that country that recorded payments last year in quadrillion. So I, as a person, never knew that kind of number. Even in school, I thought it used to stop at trillion. But we had it. So it means that we have everything it takes. And these are not abstract figures. They represent a fundamental restructuring of how value is created and exchanged in our economy. The enterprises that are leading this restructuring, they share a common trait. They have embedded technology into the very logic of how they create value, serve customers, and how they manage risks. They do not treat technology as a support function. They treat it as an operating system of the enterprise. Here in Nigeria, we operate in an environment that simultaneously presents enormous opportunity and enormous complexity. We have over 200 million people, young and increasingly digital population, more than 50% under the age of 30. With 3.5 million young Nigerians entering the labor force every year, and a growing appetite for financial services, healthcare, education, commerce, everyone wants it delivered through digital channels. At the same time, we contend with infrastructure deficit, regulatory evolution, cybersecurity threats, and a macroeconomic environment that demands efficiency at every turn. In such a context, digitization is not a luxury. It is the minimum requirement for relevance. Beyond the buzzwords, because we also need to look at some of the words, AI, blockchain. Some of the words are overused, but grossly under-executed. So beyond the buzzword, when we say what should a future-ready enterprise actually look like? The word future-ready enterprise is also another guilty phrase. Sorry, the phrase. And it appears in almost every strategy document. If you call a consultant to do some 5-year strategy work for you, that word would appear 50 times. But what does it actually mean? I'll offer 4 defining characteristics, drawing from both my own experience and from what we are seeing across industries. The first is also on the screen, is a future-ready enterprise is data intelligent. A future-ready enterprise does not only collect data, it converts data into decisions. Every customer, interactions, transactions, operational process, every engagement, day by day, by the second, generates insights that flows back into your strategy. Look at what MoneyPoint has done in the Nigerian POS space. I recall my friend and brother Tosin, as far back as 2010, 2011, 2013, we used to work closely together building solutions and softwares for POSs. It was truly, for me, it was part of my side gig. Like, we need someone to do it, and it was one of the best at that time, hands-on. So it's not like he just founded and gathered people. But one thing he did, which is very, very significant, is getting to translate data into insights. When you build the software for POS solutions, hundreds of thousands of POS solutions then in the market, it was clear for you to know what the shortcomings were. It was clear for you to know what was working well and what was not working well at that time. And one of the things that people struggled with was transaction reversal, settlement. How do I see my money? I can tell you that 14 years down the line, if anyone had told me, maybe 12, 14 years back, that a time will come in Nigeria where you will go to a pepper seller and they give you a MoneyPoint account, you transfer, and you say, I've done it, and the person says, go, I won't believe it. So it's a business of trust, but I'm sure it's happened to people here. They don't say, let me see. They just have done, but try that 12 years ago. They will slap you because, what are you saying? You have to stand there till the alert comes. We even went to a point where even when the alert comes, you need to log in to be sure that it is inside. So we've improved when it comes to trust. And it all came from 1, 2, 3 founders, business owners, looking at the pain points and providing solutions around that. Today, MoneyPoint is a systemic important player in the POS space. Over about 1.5 million POS out of less than 3 million. You can't take any policy without them, even as a regulator. So it becomes very important that if you want to scale, you need to transform data into insights and use the insights to solve problems. Second is platform-oriented. A future-ready enterprise does not build isolated products. At Meristem today, we're building some of the hyper-digitization that the capital market has never seen. And it stems from connecting our capital market subsidiaries, 7 of them, wealth management, down to registrar business, where we have over 2 million customers. And we need to consolidate the experience. We need to deliver a unified analytical layer so that decisions are made on evidence and not intuition. That's where the market is going. We need to become like a mall. When you go into a mall, you go there, they sell clothes, they sell shoes, they sell food. They are different people, asymmetric competitors, but they are all being housed on one platform. A future-ready enterprise does not build isolated products. It builds platforms that enables ecosystem. Consider what Paystack achieved. Paystack started off accepting online payments, but it architected it as a platform. Today, it's processing trillions of naira monthly for over 300,000 businesses, and now expanded into banking with the acquisition of a microfinance license. So it can now do deposit, credit, treasury to its merchant base. This is a platform mindset. One architecture, multiple valuable proposition, and a compounding network effect. We need to think of how we can deliver services and always have the mindset that a financial service should not just be delivered on a single platform. It needs to be delivered via orchestration. The third is cyber resilience. A future-ready institution should be cyber resilient. As our digital surface area expands, so does our exposure to threat. And this is not hypothetical. Nigeria's fintech sector alone has done now quadrillions in payments. And we're leading by all dimensions. We have the market size, both in breadth and depth. Every one of these transactions is a potential attack vector. Everywhere a transaction happens, everywhere there is a touch point, there is a potential for fraud. And we have seen now that there is a wave and no institution is above it. Even regulators are impacted. Anybody, you are not too big to be touched. What you see is what is reported. We've seen a bank report one recently. Every day it's happening. Some people are even taking time to understand the dimension. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they are weak. Because I had a scenario where I had some industry colleagues say to me, oh, you're about to sign a partnership with this institution, but they just got hacked. Should we proceed? And I said I would rather proceed with them than with someone who has not yet been hacked. Because the strongest institutions are the ones who have experienced it. The man who has not experienced it is going to come. And I don't want to be your partner when it comes to you. I want you to learn. Then we can partner. I know it's a very unconventional way to think. But every institution that goes through a cyber attack gets to beef up their system. Their board compulsorily vomits the money to do it because they are under pressure. So I'll rather partner with you as a more ready person when it comes to cybersecurity. A truly future-ready enterprise does not treat cybersecurity as an IT tax. It treats it as a board-level discipline. And that's why in your institutions, you should have at a minimum a cyber resilience framework. And it needs to be aligned to the necessary standards. You must deploy phishing simulation programs across all staff. In almost all the global institutions I've worked, if you are a staff, even if you are a personal assistant, and you fail a phishing simulation exercise 3 times, you are sacked. It doesn't matter even whether you are the best. The reason is because as an organization, you're only as strong as your weakest employee. Every employee is a gate, is an entry point. So if you fail it 1, 2, 3, it means that you are a risk to us. It's not about your talent anymore. And I see this work many times. And as executives here, put very firm policy. Because I've seen institutions where people fail phishing simulation and they look at the person and say, don't worry, they downplay because it's one of the critical staff and they don't want to talk. But what happens, most times we see that most of the heavy use staff, the heavily committed staff, sometimes easily gets compromised because they have so many credentials in their possession. We need to commission identity and access management often, at least quarterly. Who has what rights and why do they have it? Rights should only be on a need-to-have basis across all your platforms, applications, and everything. You cannot scale digitally without scaling your defenses. The fourth is partnership-driven. No single enterprise, no matter how large, possesses all the capabilities it needs to compete in the digital economy. Consider the collaboration you're witnessing between UK and Nigeria. We've seen MTN partner with cloud providers to offer data hosting for businesses and SMEs. Airtel is doing the same with major data center deliveries in Lagos. Everyone is trying to do big things. When you go to education, universities like Birmingham and London School of Economics launching AI and data sciences partnership with Nigerian institutions. Your institution needs to achieve active collaboration work streams, profile partners, and have an elaborate partnership risk assessment matrix. I'll move quickly to why digital transformation fails. Because we've talked about some of the things that needs to be done, but why do we have digital transformation failing? And how do we get it right? I'll start with the uncomfortable truth. Most digital transformation programs fail. And that's why if you are into venture capital, they tell you that out of every 10 investments, how many will be successful? Do we have VCs here? How many? 2? Yeah, like 1, at least 1. So, but people don't know. When you invest in 10, you are most likely going to succeed from 1. And the thought is that 1 should be able to cover your investment in the other 9. That's how digital transformation works, right? Most of them fail. Just that in Nigeria, we don't tell you that it fails. We just tell you that we need to pivot. You know, when you hear pivot, just know that something has failed. Yeah, so most of them fail. And studies consistently show that 70 and 80% of digital transformation initiatives do not achieve their stated objectives. Because sometimes when we say fail, it doesn't mean that it was not deployed. It could have been deployed, but it did not deliver the objective. That sort of benefit realization in institutions is something that most organizations do not do. A World Bank report found that fewer than 1 in 3 African firms that have adopted digital technology make intensive use of them to improve the running of their business. I met organizations that brag to say, we spent $2 million on this, we spent this, and most times I ask them, I think I had that experience last week, so how many of your people are using it? What do you use it for? The conversation collapses at that point. They invest. It becomes a status symbol, but it's really not doing anything for them in their institution. Adoption is 0. They don't even know what it's supposed to do. If you just take a simple Microsoft 365 license in this room, some CEOs are paying for an E5 license, and they give it to a PA in their offices. They don't know what it's supposed to do, but they are paying 5 times more. And they go to meetings to brag that. When you tell them, how is your technology? They say, we are spending a lot too. So spending a lot does not necessarily mean that you're doing the right thing. Every time transformation fails, it's not it's hardly because the technology was wrong. It's always because the approach was wrong. The first mistake is treating digital transformation as a technology project. If your transformation is led only by IT, it will produce new systems that nobody uses. Transformation must be led by business strategy, enabled by technology, and sustained by culture. The CEO, the CFO, and the business unit leaders must own the outcomes. It doesn't just have to be the CTO or the head of IT. When you look at Dangote Refinery, when they came out recently to say from their 650,000 barrel per day operation, they said, look, we've deployed SAP, the digital backbone, and they completed the migration in 6 days. Someone would wonder, but they are not a fintech. We think that that speed was possible because the transformation was owned at the highest level of the organization, at least as a group executive director. It wasn't delegated to an IT department, and they are now doing others. You now see the Honeywell digital performance monitoring, operator training simulators, and there is a lot happening. And there is a lot happening in this space. Your technology needs to be led by business ambition, not technology for its sake. The second mistake is underestimating the human dimension of transformation. People do not resist technology. They resist being changed without being consulted. They resist losing familiar workflows without understanding the new ones. And when we researched 144 Nigerian SMEs, we found that inadequate literacy in digital, skills such shortage, and low awareness of AI potential applications were among the biggest barriers to adoption. It wasn't cost, and it was not technology. Digital transformation requires deliberate change management, training, communication, and the patience to bring people along. At Meristem, every major platform deployment comes with a structured adoption strategy. User acceptance, phase rollouts, feedback loops, executive sponsorship, and we believe that adoption is not automatic. It is engineered. The third mistake we make is pursuing transformation without governance. Speed without structure, they always say, is chaos. You need architecture, you need standards, you need data governance, policies, integration protocols, and portfolio management discipline. We have institutionalized governance across every institution I have had the opportunity to be in. And it's something that I encourage us all to do. Looking at artificial intelligence, the opportunity, the responsibility, and how we become realistic with this. No keynote on digitizing businesses in 2026 will be complete without addressing artificial intelligence. AI is shaping industries and reshaping them, not just in Nigeria, but globally. The potential is immense, but we also need to balance it realistically with our ambition. AI is a powerful tool, and it's not a magic wand. Deploying AI without clean data is like building a house on sand. Deploying AI without governance is like handing someone a scalpel without medical training. And deploying AI without ethical boundaries risks eroding every trust that the customer has put in us before they chose our business. So in wrapping up, I just want to talk about the ecosystem imperative. As the president of Fintech Association of Nigeria, I need to wrap up in 1 minute. And an institution that is approaching its 10th anniversary next year, I have a front row seat to the power and fragility of digital ecosystem. And the Nigerian's fintech sector, attracting over $2 billion in investment in 2024 alone, we've seen 5 Nigerian startups hit a combined valuation of $6 billion. And just yesterday, we've seen the announcement of Move joining the unicorns in Nigeria. But for the stakeholders here in this room and the NBCC membership, I want to draw attention to the emerging UK-Nigeria digital corridor as being one of the most significant bilateral technology relationship on the African continent today. We need to take the values here and we need to work together to achieve regulatory clarity. We need to work together to facilitate infrastructure investment, and we need to work together to facilitate talent development. There is already the UK Tech Nation and so many other immigration things, but I think it's designed to pull from Nigeria. We need to also have a reciprocity. How do we also attract those talents here? Someone might think it's impossible, but it's something that we can do. I'll close with this direct challenge. If you're a CEO or a business leader and your company does not have a digital strategy that is reviewed quarterly, and you are funding it deliberately or intentionally and championing from the top, then you need to start it now because you're already behind. If your customer experience is still struggling with manual workarounds and your data is not connected to each other, predictive, if your cybersecurity posture has not been independently assessed in the last 12 months, these are not IT problems, they are strategic vulnerabilities we should address immediately. I want to thank you once again for having me here and close by saying that as we work towards building the future-ready enterprise, what we need is not perfection. We just need progress. It's not just technology that we need transformation. Any digital you deploy in your company that only changes systems but didn't change the process, any process you deploy digital, all your process nodes, SOPs are intact, you haven't transformed anything. Let's focus on transformation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. Let's give a resounding round of applause to Dr. Stanley Jacob. In addition to sharing the very deep fintech ecosystem of Nigerian unicorns in the United Kingdom, inclusive of MoneyPoint and Kuda, he also told us that a future-ready enterprise should get these 4 acts together. It should be data intelligent, it should be cyber resilient, it should be platform-oriented, and it should be partnership driven. Let's give him another round of applause for that riveting guest speaker's speech. That's vintage Stanley for you, so we didn't expect anything less. We move at the fast pace. Let's yield the floor to Aruwa Capital Management, one of our sponsors, for their video advert. Aruwa Capital Management.
My name is Adeso Akumbo Rhodes. I'm the founder of Aruwa Capital Management. We are an early-stage growth equity and gender lens fund investing in Nigeria and Ghana. We are focused on investing in proven businesses that have proven their business models, but are looking for incremental capital to scale and looking for incremental growth capital to pass that next inflection point of growth. We are focused on investing with a gender lens because we're one of the few women-owned and women-managed institutional funds in the entire African continent. So we're very excited about showcasing the untapped potential of women on the continent. We invest in either businesses that are female-founded, female-led, or businesses that have women predominantly active in their value chain, where they're providing either an essential good or service to improve women's lives. We now have 16 portfolio companies, 4 in healthcare, 3 in financial services, 2 in clean energy and the circular economy, and 7 in essential consumer goods. We are proud to be backing these exceptional companies and founders that are solving real challenges in our markets in Nigeria and Ghana.
Round of applause. I'm sure we certainly remember that viral interview that Adesua gave at the NBCC. We commune with fellowship and we engage only the best and not the weak. Next on the agenda is for me to introduce our moderator, Ms. Oluwatosin Olasende. Tosin is the founder and chief executive officer of Money Africa, one of Nigeria's leading financial education and wealth building platforms committed to improving financial literacy across Africa. A chartered accountant, financial educator, and entrepreneur, she's widely recognized for leveraging digital platforms to simplify finance, investing, and wealth creation for individuals and businesses. Through technology-driven solutions and innovative content, Tosin has empowered thousands of people to make informed financial decisions and embrace digital financial services. Her work sits at the intersection of finance, technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship, making her one of the continent's leading advocates for digital inclusion and financial empowerment. As moderator, she brings a unique blend of business insight, technology awareness, and engaging conversation that will undoubtedly enrich today's discussion. We look forward to a dynamic and thought-provoking conversation under Tosin's moderation. So Tosin, come and earn your pay in 30 minutes with your fireside chat with Dr. Stanley Jacob. Have your seat. Let's appreciate Tosin as she comes forward.
All right, thank you so much for having me. It's my very first time here. I'm excited. A little bit of info, not necessary, but I'm going to share it anyways. I flew in this morning, so I flew in this morning. I really want to be here, so I flew in this morning to be here. So, all right, so I'll be inviting. 1 minute. Thank you for that. Great. Who enjoyed the session today? It was packed. It had data. I didn't want it to end. I was just like, wow, there's so much information. So I want to jump right into it. You spoke about what does a truly future-ready enterprise look like? And I loved when we were talking about translating data into insights. Can you give us real examples as to how that has happened in the past? Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much. I was careful so that I don't finish all the conversations. I struggled with 15 minutes. You know, I warned you ahead yesterday. Okay, so thank you. I think when we talked about future ready, I mentioned that it's one of the guilty phrases that you find when we're talking about strategy. And practically, if you sit 10 executives in this room and you ask them about what future ready means and what transformation means, not just to the organization, but broadly speaking, you will get maybe 7 different responses. So it means that we are not yet aligned. And so we need to, the topic is very critical at this point, and It's more about dropping the buzzwords and dealing with the meat of the matter. When you strip all the jargons around future-ready, transformation, orchestration, platformization, I think this digital field is very difficult. So I always tell people, break it down. Break it down. Assume I don't know anything. But you will just see that it has those 4 observable characteristics that I mentioned. First is about data, right? We need to build solutions from data insight, not from hierarchy. You still find situation very practical, even from my conversations, where even when you ask some fintechs that have gone down today, and you ask them what really was the problem, they tell you that the founder or the CEO wanted to do this, but this is what we thought was right. So we're still driving future-ready transformation from hierarchy. I own the company, I own the vision. But most times no data to back it up. So the idea of data, I try to look at what MoneyPoint has done, what Paystack has done. You can tell that it was purely data-driven, insight-driven. Everybody talks about MoneyPoint. But most people don't know that when you put MoneyPoint side by side, they both have their leadership strengths. MoneyPoint has done everything in the business space and won with it. OP has done everything in the consumer space and won with it. And that's why they have 50 million consumers. MoneyPoint doesn't have 50 million consumers. So it tells that they are intentional and they are driven by their insight. So that's very important. The second I talked about was how do we build platform rather than product. You can start with a single problem like Paystack that started up with accepting online payment, but it built a platform. That's what future ready means. You don't build for what you want to do now. You build for what you want to become in the future. So Paystack started off by becoming a platform from day one, but only started with accepting online payment. And if you notice, they've been maybe a bit slower with how they've executed, but more stable in terms of being very strategic. So most times we struggle with it. Last Friday, I was taking a class in LBS, and one of the things I said to them, because it was made of executives, and I said to them, how many of you here can confess that when you built your platform, you hear when you deploy an app, the day they go out for a market storm on that app, the app doesn't work. It becomes slow because there are more people downloading it. You are not building for the future. You even built for yesterday, actually, because if you build an app and you tell them, why are people not able to onboard? They say, let's check it. It's because there is a spike. You didn't build for the future. So you need to build for what you want to become, not what you want to be now. And I always say that it should be 10x at the minimum. Yeah, so even if you're not a tech person in this room and your tech people give you the plan and say, this is what we want to do, ask the questions. How many customers can this carry today? If they say 5 million, tell them, show me what it takes to do for 50 million. Because we're in a digital world now. If you really build what is nice, you can't control 50 million from 5 million. Because it's people that are taking it up. You're not the one giving it to them or signing them up. So we need to build platforms that are ready and not just focus on product. It should be API architected, ready to accommodate other players, not just the type of players you know today, but even the types that you think they will be licensed in another 5 years. I know of fintechs today that have built their platforms to accept stablecoin as far back as 5 years ago, even though no institution as at that time was doing it. And today we are there now And some people are telling me, we are seeing what's happening, we want to build. You're already late. But it's not too late. Any day you wake up is your morning. So the third I talked about is cybersecurity, and we can't overflog it, right? When you talk about growth, you also need to realize that your digital surface area increases the level of exposure you have in terms of cybersecurity. So, if you're a small bank, for example, and you hear 1 billion fraud, the MD develops palpitations. If you're a big bank and you hear 10 billion, the MD even sometimes doesn't get involved. They investigate and get it sorted. So it means that the larger the institution, the more complex and higher in impact you will see cyber attacks come. So you must secure to the extent and even beyond your digital surface area. The fourth is that no enterprise, no matter how large, has all the capabilities it needs. We all thrive with partnership. A future-ready institution today must be one that, if you are API open, for you to actually succeed with your strategy, you need a minimum of at least 10 to 15 partners integrated. Starting from simple things like integrating SMS. There is a partner that gives you that if you are not licensed. So there is no fintech, no digital platform that has APIs that will say we are doing everything by ourselves. You can only make yourself feel good. And that in itself elevates the risks, because every partner connection is another failure point and is another cyber attack point. Thank you.
You're welcome. During your speech, you spoke about AI, and we've been hearing AI everywhere, right? What sectors do you think can benefit from AI?
Every sector. Everybody. AI is life. So on a more serious note, right, AI is the most consequential technology of our generation. And every day we are seeing new dimension come up with AI. Interestingly, it's moving at a pace that makes even we in the technology space uncomfortable. And I understand the urgency that business leaders feel to adopt AI. We also need to balance that urgency with discipline. That discipline on how we build the governance around AI. And if you see now, most of the attacks we've seen on institution, maybe this year, has not been that this person was hit 1 million or 2 million. It's been, this data has been breached. This data have been breached. Even if you are selling yam, they will breach your data. So it's trying to tell you that we started it. We said data is the new oil, right? And so there will be pipeline vandalization. So that's what it is primarily, right? So AI has opened up the relevance of data and also made it a target in everything. So if you want to, AI can't function without data. And if you must now deploy AI to deliver solutions, then you must balance the discipline from day one. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. But my recommendation to businesses would be that you should adopt AI in stages. And at every stage, you should invest equally in governance. Whether you are using it to augment, because the base stage is to use AI to enhance what people already do. Right? So fraud detection, customer service, document review, credit scoring, all these things, we talk about them like they are transformation. They are just augmentation. That's the base level for AI adoption. If you are there, build the governance for that place. If you go to stage 2, which is automation, discarding the processes you have to bringing in new one and replacing them, you also need a higher level of governance. The governance you need at the automation stage is not the same with what you need at the augmentation stage, because the augmentation still relates with your policies that you're using before now. So once you trust the models that you're using for your automation and you validated their output, you must make sure these things are signed off before you allow AI handle high volume tasks end to end. So whether you're thinking of how you want to do intelligent document handling, predictive maintenance, you have to validate it. Nobody is bigger than breaches from AI. Was it BMW last year or so that the cars were being offered for $1? I don't know that story. But it was a malfunction of the AI. And people were ordering cars for that. And it's predictive. So it's one thing for you to say to me, oh, we see that you have a credit card. Do you need this? But you also need to present the correct information to me. Because I don't want to say yes. Then somebody is calling me to say, we noticed that you ordered this, but we don't have it. So we want it to be very well validated. The last stage, which is the third stage, is innovation. You augment automation at the second level. The third is innovating. And at this point, you're using AI to create entirely new products, entirely new services, and in some cases, entirely new business models. You know, you want to change everything. The level of governance you require here is level 3. It needs to go higher. And in this case, you're trying to put AI where things were impossible before. So it can't be at the base level. Sometimes it can't even be at the same talent level. So because even when you deploy AI, you also need the right level of talent to manage them. Thank you.
Incredible. So we spoke about technology, business transformations. You've also spoken about why some of them actually fail, that you can have all these great ideas and they still fail. What culture, organization, like in terms of management, what kind of culture do you think will actually drive the change that is required? And with examples, like I know you've spoken about Money Point, also Paystack. But yeah, if you can shed more light on it.
So culture is what matters most, right? Sadly, it's get the least attention in boardrooms. We always talk about technology, budgets, experience, but culture. Culture is where everything collapses. Because at the end of the day, you've secured the budget, you've implemented the technology. 2 years down the line, where is the outcome? I say to some of my guys in this space, I say the reason why your board removed you and moved you to marketing or even sacked you is because the thing you promised 2 years ago did not happen. You promised that you were going to deploy this solution and it will give us 300 million up in revenues monthly. But we ended up spending 300 million extra expense monthly. We didn't see any revenue. So most times benefit realization is a problem. Staying true to the culture is a problem. So most often when digital transformation fails, it fails from a failure in leadership. Yeah. It's not mostly from a failure in technology, because one company takes maybe Microsoft Dynamics and deploys it, it works. Another one deploys it, it fails. Dynamics is not the problem. But sometimes even in those institutions, you are made to believe that Dynamics is the problem. We need to choose another one. Then somebody needs to sit everyone down and show them 5 other institutions that are successfully using it. So that's leadership, and not just executive leader, even the technology leadership needs to know what they are doing. As a technology leader, if you don't know, a solution can be big, say SAP up there, but it's not for everybody. So you must know what is right for your institution. Don't take a technology that is too big for your institution. Don't take a technology that is too small for your institution. So that right sizing is one of the real issues, because I have seen modest technologies, Nigerian-made, deliver investments and extraordinary results, right? ROI and extraordinary results. And that's because the right evaluation happened. So for you to get this right, one of the first things that you look at is the strategic clarity and conviction. As a leader, you must be able to articulate in plain language why the organization is transforming and what your destination looks like. Because those two things are very important. Why are you doing it and where are you really going? And you should also be able to let your stakeholders know why your status quo is no longer acceptable. So if you don't follow this path in the design of your technology roadmap, then you have some discomfort along the line, and it's something that you cannot really take away. So that clarity of ambition, it should shape your technology decision. Second is cross-functional clarity. You talked about AI, digital transformation. It touches every function in the institution, even if it is security. It touches it, right? So you must be able to speak across functions and get the stakeholders involved. So if the person that is leading the transformation does not have a mandate that can cover functions, so if you're head of IT and you have to beg finance to come in, you have to beg compliance to come in or HR to come in, you lost it from the beginning, when it comes to culture. So whoever is leading digital transformation must have the authority breadth to be able to bring everyone to the table, right? And that's very important. So if you really want to do transformation, especially at the innovation stage where things need to change, even impact the business model, you need a group executive at that level to be able to pull everyone together. And I think a lot of companies are already doing that today, including mine. And the last is your tolerance for managed risks. So innovation requires experimentation. And experimentation means that some things will fail, whether you like it or not. So most times you shouldn't scare people with failure. You just need to teach people how to fail fast and cheap so that you can easily pivot. That word we always use, right? So, and continue innovating and failing again until you get it right. So we shouldn't build a culture that punishes innovation failures. And it should not also tolerate recklessness. So it has to be a balance. So there must be a threshold to which this failure can happen. And that's why the fail fast and cheap comes up. If your failure is going to cost us everything, then it's no longer failure, it's a catastrophe. So the sweet spot is creating a culture where teams are encouraged to experiment within defined guardrails. So you have to have structured pilots, clear success criteria. Your investment must be boxed within specific time and amount, and there must be a honest retrospective. I talked about that retrospective is the problem. Sometimes we don't want to tell ourselves that we failed on something. You want to say, oh, it's working, but we need to pivot. You don't need to pivot. It failed. What can we do differently? Honest retrospection is a tough one, but you need to get to that level of maturity. And I think a board that sees an executive that says this thing failed and this is what we want to do, they respect you more than when you try to say we are pivoting because the market has changed like this, but you spent money, right? So I think those three things are very important. And as for culture, the organizations that transform successfully, they share a few traits. And one of it is the learning culture. You must invest in continuous learning and upskilling of your talent. So the talent you have now might not necessarily be the ones that will support you when you get there, but you can't throw them away. So you have to be deliberate about upskilling. So we've seen what the 3 million technical talent of the Ministry of Digital Economy is doing with Google. I learned we've had a lot of success in that space, but our companies must match them with internal investment. We need to put our money. I learned to train a couple of people, but placement is even like this. So we must rise up and do this together. Even at FinTech Nigeria, we're doing DigiStart for students, DigiCorp for corpers, working out placements with them and in different organizations. This needs to be intentional and catching them young. How is it that a guy that is in 300 level OAU is able to work for a company in the UK as a software developer till he graduates and wraps up? But in Nigeria, he has to graduate and bring his NYSC before he can work. We are not ready. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one more question, and then I'll be throwing it to the audience. And please, I want you to start preparing your question because we must grill him and get the most out of him. So the other question is this. I was at London Tech Week. This was in April. The UK government had created an entourage for us to come. It was you could tell they were intentional. They want businesses that are scalable to be in the UK, very intentional. I was completely impressed as to the delegates and the intentionality that went into it. But I can also see the opportunities, and I know you can say it too. How it's a bigger market, higher purchasing power. There are a lot of tech companies sitting here in Nigeria. What are the low-hanging fruits? What are you thinking? What ideas are in your head that people listening can also think of? How can we leverage on that opportunity? Thank you.
So thank you. I think that, London Tech Week, by the way, we have the Nigerian FinTech Week next month on 22nd. So there are the FinTech Weeks, Tech Weeks. There's the one happening in DC next month. So a lot of these things come out. We gather young minds. Last year, when we had the Nigerian FinTech Week 2025, we had something that we've never done before, and it's called the Dev Tribe, mainly for developers. And we brought over 500 of them for a side event that was very well attended. You find out that the tech people, they really don't used to go out. So when they have this opportunity, they don't take it for granted. But I think rather than bringing people together to interact and network, we should deal with the issues. And the issues still remains, how are we dealing with training? How are we dealing with work mode? Whether it's hybrid, whether it's remote, whether it's on-site. These are real issues. People are leaving organizations not because they are not paid well, but because they want to work every day from home. At the same time, we have seen institutions that says working from home has also cost us more pain than benefit. So we need to come up with a very structured approach. Number 2 is investment. So when these people come together, how are we discussing investment? And I think that's also where the NBCC comes in. We need to facilitate investment because now there is this slowdown in investment in the tech space, and we're only seeing those that are growing, growth tech companies getting more investment. It just means that if you are a startup and you are trying to seed, you need to look inward for domestic capital. How are we getting domestic capital? We need to look at home. Charity needs to begin at home. So we need lots and lots of domestic capital to fund startups in Nigeria, to seed them to that level where they can attract international capital. So those are the issues we need to be talking about. When we bring investment, how do we drive commercialization? And in terms of commercialization, you build a product, how do you get it out there to be able to drive the desired return on investment? That has to happen, and there is also the part of bigger oversight support. So most of these tech companies, many of them want to be founders. You know how many people we are turning out into the labor market, 3.5 million every year. I don't think we are not generating that kind of job. So you're going to have more fun. Most people, my son doesn't want to work. He wants to own a business from day one. So it keeps the burden on me to support him. So so I have to start looking for how to found it for him. But the point is, we need to help them with investment. We need to help tech with commercialization. And most importantly, we need to help them with the things that they need to succeed. Whether you're a young tech or a big tech, the regulator doesn't see that. They see someone who wants a license. They see someone who needs to get PCI DSS and other certification. They see someone who needs to have a CISO. They see someone who needs to have ABC on the board. Most of these things, young tech organizations or founders cannot afford or get them. We need to support them. Some of us are doing it on a personal capacity. I do that for a lot of fintechs, sit on advisory board. I can't count how many, but I'm just one person. And I know a lot more people are doing the same thing, but we need to put a structure around it and see how we can support the ecosystem. It's more about us. It's not about tech. Thank you.
Fantastic. The floor is open. Can I please take your questions? Who wants to start? Who wants to go first? Great. Let's go.
Good morning. Okay, my question, I wanted to ask about the potential of AI in organizing human relationships and markets, especially in terms of cooperative societies, and what AI-enabled cooperative societies could do for trade, for real sector businesses like agriculture, manufacturing. So not just in terms of production now, but in terms of organizing the markets and helping, like right now we have the African Continental Free Trade Area. So I'm asking about what can AI do in that sector?
Thank you. So I think when we talk about cooperatives and some of the initiatives you're pointing to, I know that decades ago, when you have a cooperative, you need to have meeting. You gather to have meeting and review who has paid and who hasn't paid, who is coming to meeting and who hasn't. But now we've seen many of the cooperatives operating digitally, like even microfinance banks, right? And there is almost a thin line between a licensed microfinance bank and a cooperative. So it's only a FCCPC that is helping us tell the difference now, because a lot is going on. So what am I heading to? Technology has transformed the way the interaction happens from physical to digital. Part of what AI can do is more of predictive interactions. You have 10,000 people in a cooperative. They are all on one platform. You can see them. AI can help you define their personas, right? Who is this? Who is Stanley? Who is Mama Bosse? Who is Iyabo? And who is Nkechi, right? AI will help you build their personas, will help you tell what they do digitally. So I'm not just seeing a name and I know it's a woman, but I don't know what they do. When you build personas, you can easily know what to offer to these people. AI can help you look at. So I was talking to someone 2 weeks ago and I said, look, when you build cooperatives like this, you want to see someone who is a farmer. AI crawls up to the person on the platform and says, these are your contacts that you can get fertilizer from, or you can rent a tractor from. Should I reach out to them for you, or you rather click this button to chat with them? So those are the things that we should be looking at when it comes to platform. And it means that we also need to do a lot around teaching the people to use it. But when this level of AI is applied in communities like this, we also need to be sure that the people in these communities can use it. By the way, while we're talking about AI and most of the big things, our financial literacy is still like 35%, right, in the country. So we need to do a lot to train as much as we deploy AI for human interactions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SG. You know, I can't miss asking you a question. And I think where you ended sort of segues to where I want to go. Because we're still largely in survival in Nigeria, a lot of times digital transformation sounds like luxury. It also sounds expensive. Do we have some empirical data that shows how digital transformation has actually financially impacted organizations so that people can see that, you know what, you're going to spend 1 million on this, but you can actually make 3 million on that? If it's not clear, then it continues to look like a luxury. Why should I do this? I'm not trying to just be nice. Because we're still trying to really survive as a company, as a country. You know what I mean? So if there's some empirical data to share with us today, it would be nice. The second thing is, with AI, I know that AI is basically intelligence. Intelligence is interpreting information. And so if we're not in platform mode on many things, then AI has nothing to interpret. So just as we talk about like improving, what's the importance of platform-related activities in the future of AI in Nigeria? Thank you.
Can you please kindly share your name and the company you work with? Thank you.
My name is John Oaben. I lead a company called Cutstruct Technology. We're a platform for real estate. We started out as a platform for building materials, but right now we also connect developers, contractors to financing as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that question for me is very straightforward. Question number one, there is empirical data everywhere, depending on the sector you want to speak to. And one of them that I'll just quickly touch on because of time is OPay, for example. Most people see OPay and we say 50 million customers on their platform. That's a function of digital transformation. When I take you back to where we are coming from, most people don't know that OPay, then called Paycom, right? Paycom was one of the first 16 licenses in 2011. At least I was able to know this because I was the CEO of one of the licenses then. So OPay did not come to found a fintech in Nigeria. They acquired one that was using technology. And when they delivered their digital transformation through the Opera kind of approach, you can tell what the difference was. If you want to measure, you can check what Paycom had versus what OPay has become. It's a clear evidence by all indices what digital transformation can do. The second is about platforms. The truth is that we are practically going to start living in platforms. Everything is getting interconnected to everything. So we should just keep looking at it, not just from a financial institution perspective, health, agriculture, but everything is becoming a platform. Even your phone now is a platform. If you're using maybe an iPhone, you're seeing maybe another app that is completely unrelated. Maybe it's your Uber app telling you it wants to track your activity on other apps. You're already in a platform, right? And sometimes it's saying deny or allow. I used to deny because I'm scared. I don't know why you want to see everything. You know, and I have a boss that says, look, I'm not going to use Apple everything. Neither am I going to use Samsung everything. I'm going to mix it. My laptop will be Samsung, and my phone will be Apple, my earpiece will be Huawei, because I don't want anybody to connect me all around. But he said that to me, and I laughed. But we are practically living in a platform. Thank you.
Please kindly.
Thank you.
Please kindly introduce yourself, the company you work with, and the question. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jacob. My name is Chime Wachuku. I'm an associate at Kena LP, and I'm very excited to be here this morning, this afternoon, then, speaking with you. So my question, and just before I go, thank you very much for such an insightful presentation. I would also like to make a brief observation. In the, he had mentioned AI readiness and everybody looking to prepare for the future. We often think of digital transformation as a technology initiative as well. But however, in my view, I also propose that, it's also, every digital solution adopted by business also creates a corresponding legal and governance and enterprise profile risk in itself. And so my question is, in your experience with companies moving into digital transformation, should they and how do we manage the legal risks in terms of exposure with, of course we have institutions that guide all of that. And how have you seen them manage through that? And what would you advise them to in respect to going with that initiative and strategies? Thank you.
Thank you. I think the question is one that I relate very strongly with, especially my colleague Onyeka. He's our group head of retail, and he can bear me witness. I think a few days ago, I had a 1 hour back and forth with a legal person that was reviewing a contract for me. And I think we got to one point in that conversation where I said to her, in this conversation, I am the lawyer. Because you have scattered everything that I understand about tech. That's why that question is important. So, first of all, I had said it in the beginning that we should not treat digital transformation as an IT project. So I heard when you said it should be an IT initiative. It should never be. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to re-echo it. Digital transformation should be an enterprise-led, executive-sponsored agenda. The day digital transformation becomes an IT project, technology will be delivered, outcome will not be delivered. So it's very important that we level up on that. Now, going to the question on legal. Every time we say we don't have tech talent, they are jackpying, but one of the things we don't have is also technology lawyers. So we don't even have lawyers that are ready to deal with what AI we are deploying. You understand? If there was an aspect of technology, when I was having my conversation with that lawyer last week, I would have debarred the lawyer. I don't know how they used to call it, because it turned everything upside down. And lawyers argue a lot, with due respect, and they'll tell you, no, I'm the lawyer here, so you have to listen. So we need preparation. I think that we don't have it, and maybe it's something we can advocate for at the FinTech Nigeria and Africa FinTech Network level, where we have to say, who are people managing this from a legal perspective? Who are people managing this from a procurement perspective? Who are people managing this from HR perspective? I've seen institutions, even financial institutions, where they've now even gone as far as hiring HR specifically for targeting tech talent. The skill and expectation is different. I have been in an institution where, not long, one of the first things I asked for then, in one of my former life, was that I need a tech lawyer. Because most times you find out that almost every time there is a dispute around technology, digital transformation contract, the problem is not the parties. The agreement is faulty. It has been reviewed by a lawyer who is not a tech person. And the tech person does not also understand how the law should present it. So two half-blind or one-eye people leading the pack. The tech person does not know how to put it in the legal form. The legal person does not know how to interpret technology. So it becomes a problem. You need to understand patent. You need to understand rights, data consent. How is AI even working? See, NDPC now is on a jolly spree, finding everybody because how did you release this data? Who gave you this data? But there were lawyers that signed those contracts. Almost all those technology contracts, they had partnership. When you speak to a fintech, they say, we just signed contract with this person. What is inside the contract? So we need to agree that we have a dearth of technology lawyers, and that we are not equipped with the legal resource that will take us to this level of AI and platformization we're talking about. And how do we do it? Maybe intentional. And now that you've said this, we will need to maybe take it up with the Nigeria Bar Association and see how we can actually work on that. Doing some of those things with the Institute of Directors and a few more, but we need to take it up with them and say, how are we equipping? What programs will we put in place? So I've noted that. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more question. Okay.
Hello. Good morning.
Please go through. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Fumilola. Please, sir, you said every sector needs AI, which was why I want to ask you this, because I'm a freight forwarder and every sector needs AI, okay? With the recently single window was launched, and the purpose is just to hasten freight importation and exportation process, but the usual Nigerian way still affecting us anyway. Now, I just want to ask, what are the first 2 or 3 practical AI applications you can recommend freight forwarding company to adopt? And to adopt for us to reduce delay in documentation, custom, supply chain, and to stay competitive. Thank you.
I don't know the one to recommend though, but I know that you need AI. So the first part is this, right? You need it. During my keynote, I had mentioned what is happening with the Apapa and the Tinkan port. These are complete AI transformation, costing millions of dollars. I've talked about the deep sea port in Lekki. You cannot even succeed in the maritime space without AI. If you're a freight forwarder, one of the things we used to have before, if you want to bring in a car, let's say from the US, you're always scared. They say 2 weeks shipping, 3 months, you have not seen it. These are the things that AI, if I ask you today, I'm sure you're importing something, but you can't tell where the vessel is right now. But if there was AI, you can tell on your phone, right? So these are part of the things that we're trying to do, right? Where is it at every point in time? How are we putting in the insurance? How are we calculating the value? If there are losses or damages, how is it being computed? I think the maritime space is one space where at the fear of getting it wrong, there is a lot of subjectiveness. And if we get AI right, we will be able to, everybody can predict what it should be. And nobody is, if 2 people access the same service and pay significantly different amount for the same service, then it means some subjectiveness have come into the service delivery. So AI is important. When you speak to your technology consultant, they'll tell you which one, so that nobody holds me on the road and say, but you are the one that said we should use this AI and it didn't work. But I think it's not about the tool. The first step is understanding what really you want to use the AI for. And then it will determine what you should be using. Thank you.
Okay, one more question. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, hello. Thank you for the beautiful section. My name is Blessing, and I work with RiseVest as an asset manager lead. So my question is this, but let me just make an example before asking. So I work with a fintech company where aspect of our service, from account opening to investing to completing, everything is digital with no paperwork. However, I have noticed that most of our older prospective or potential clients find this process challenging. They are more comfortable with traditional paper and often prefer someone complete the process for them because they are not confident in using the platform. So now is my question. How can we bridge this gap and encourage the older clients to confidently adopt digital platform and AI-driven service while we still provide them with a seamless and comfortable experience?
So thank you very much. Very valid question, right? I think most times when we talk about digitization, we automatically assume that digitization is all about self-service. Self-service is different. You can digitize, and there is a staff-assisted digitization, and there is self-service digitization. Not every digitization has to be done. And it's not about education or financial literacy, because you talked about some women. There are some executives in this room that they don't know what their calendar look like. They have not checked it. Someone is calling them to say, you have a meeting by 11. That man will also not onboard on RiseVest. If you are serious, you will come and onboard him or her. So digitization does not mean that people must do it by themselves. Digitization must cater for those two instances. Instances where you talk about people doing it by themselves, and on the other hand, staff assisted. I'll give you a practical example. I have Madam Anne here. We used to be in Standard Chartered together, where she was an executive. I'm really glad to see her today. When we were in Standard Chartered, I led an Africa-wide program. It's called the Africa Mobility Program, where we deployed over 4,000 iPads to relationship managers as of 2014. So I did. I'm not saying I saw. You know why? Because Standard Chartered has an affluent strategy. And there are many things the affluent person will not do. You want me to go and be checking whether something, you are not ready. We deal with the people we see. So the first thing we did, even before, while we were doing a brand new mobile called SC Mobile, we're also doing the staff assist, which put iPads in the hand of everybody. So it means when I come to your office, I put your customer ID, it pulls your details. I don't need to type it again except you're a new customer. And you say you want to invest $1 billion in mutual funds or something. I do everything, show you on the iPad, and you use your pen, even your finger, to sign on my iPad. And when I click submit, it happens instantly. That's an institution that understands that affluence is not everybody. The pyramid gets smaller as you go higher. So you have to still interact. But guess what? We digitize the process that it was straight through, and before you leave the front of that person, he already has an email in the box with a PDF of that form, and the investment has been placed. It is still digitization. So digitization does not necessarily mean it has to be self-service. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Good morning. My question is simple. I have $1 billion. I wish. How and where do I deploy these funds, and what do I look out for in identifying institutions? Simple.
Okay. I want to assume that the $1 billion is in investments. You want to do PE, VC, or those things. I think first things first is we always have the questionnaire, right? Where you have to look at a few things. But beyond the paperwork, if I'm an investor and I have $1 billion, the first thing I want to look at is, in assessing institution, I want to see what you're really doing. What problem are you really solving? Because today, if a fintech comes to me, I'm careful about what I want to say so that I'm safe. But if a fintech comes to me and say, look, I'm setting up a payment rail and all this, I won't invest. I will not invest. Okay? Because I want you to be doing something else. We have payment rails everywhere. What do you want to do differently? We have 25% of financial exclusion. And those areas where that exclusion persists will continue to be excluded until we deal with the infrastructure issues. Most people still refuse to agree that we have 1/3 of our 774 local governments without broadband. So how do you include a place that is not includable? Go and put the use case in that solution. So we want to drive financial inclusion. We end up including the included. And everybody in this room now, if you check your phone, maybe you have 5 to 6 bank apps. And you are switching from one to another. The one you used to pay DSTV, different from the one you used to transfer to your mother. That's not the focus. That's not the focus. So that's why I won't put it. It's not necessarily a bad investment, but I won't put it. I already want to see you do something around health. I want to see you do something about education. Right? How do we deliver education? Now we are seeing MIVA, we are seeing the online universities, NUTM, all coming up. And people are attending these universities. It was people like you and me, and you know them, that founded it. Right? And we are seeing people, and when you check most of the people that are attending these universities today, there are people who missed their chances of going to school when they should have. And they've taken up 1 or 2 lower jobs, and they need to meet up. That is real impact. You go to agriculture, you want to do many things. I don't understand agriculture anymore. But there is a lot of digitization that needs to happen there. We used to have the likes of Kobo 360. I don't know if they are still operating now. But it was a very valid use case with trucking and everything. People talked about it because they were solving a problem. How comes when the problem is being solved, everywhere there is a problem to be solved, it's more difficult? So I will not invest my $1 billion in convenience. I will invest it in something that is unique and that is solving problem that we can visibly see, right? So it shouldn't just be a microfinance. It shouldn't just be another payment gateway. It shouldn't just be that you want to deploy POS. How many POS would you? Do you know how much you will need? Your $1 billion may not even be enough to deploy the POS that MoneyPoint has deployed. If you want to go by not just the devices, but by the scale and the resources they've used to achieve there. So we need to look at it from that point of view. Thank you.
How many more questions can I take? Okay, so I have 2 more questions. One man and one woman. The glasses.
Good afternoon. My name is Favor Onovo, and I'm a lawyer at Akiumi and Busari Legal Practitioners. I'm also going to say I agree with his earlier opinion saying that lawyers need to really be abreast with certain, frameworks. And the reason why I'm here today as a lawyer to, learn more on digitization and the rest. And then I'll go to my question. So, do you think digital acceleration, there is a regulatory gap in which it's not supporting technology advancement? Do you think there's a gap between regulatory frameworks and digital acceleration in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for the question. I think over time, I've grown from those conversations that says regulation is the reason why we are not growing. I have grown. I don't used to agree with that anymore. I think that in all fairness, in past years, we used to have maybe regulators that are slow and maybe not progressive or innovative as much as we would want them to do. But maybe not in the last 5 years or more, right? At least 5 years, to be fair. We've seen regulators trying to do everything and listening. And maybe I began to see differently when I started engaging more and more with them, right? June 1st this year, the CBN governor unveiled the Nigeria Payment System Vision 2028. I was a member of that drafting committee. I think that's the 3rd one that I've been a part of from 2020 to 2025, and this is 2028. The truth is, how many people really have read that document? How many people know what that document is saying? If we try that in this room, can we try with a show of hands? If you've read it. So you see, you read it, right? Only you. Okay. So you see, it's not a regulatory framework, but it's a policy document, and it tells the direction, how your business should be ready and everything. And that document is going to be a foundation, or is already a foundation for some of the policies that are already coming out. Right? So when the policies come out, whether you're a lawyer or a blogger or anyone, you begin to write pages to analyze the policy. But you never read the document that gave birth to it. It doesn't work. You cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. So you need to start by also understanding what the regulator is thinking and where we want to go. We want to include 50 million people by 2028 to achieve 95% financial inclusion. But there are things we need to do. Some will disrupt your business as it is today. Some will disrupt it as you want it to be tomorrow. You have to be ready. So I don't agree that regulation is it. Yes, we still have fine-tuning to do, like every other country. Right? But we need to also be more, our strategy rooms need to be touched. It needs to be touched. We need to go to where the problems are. We are too much in a haste when it comes to return on investment, return on equity. So when the board or the shareholders give you money, they want to see the money turning in 12 months. And that has made us neglect areas of infrastructure, technology infrastructure now, not road, and neglect things that would really help us achieve the long-term engagement. So it's a lot of short-termism. It is not regulatory. It is a boardroom and strategy room matter. Thank you.
Thank you. So the very last question. All right, please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Anointing Daniel. I'm representing Libra Circle. Libra Circle is an end-to-end logistic company and procurement company. So my question is about, we talked about enterprises adopting artificial intelligence. You talked about augmentations to automations. So has enterprises move from augmentations to automations first? What are the critical blind spots and constraints that they should pay attention to? Because like my company are trying to see how they could adopt artificial intelligence, especially at automations in the logistics space. So I want to see if you have, based on your experience, those blind spots you see enterprises fall into that we could just we could learn from.
So thank you very much, Mr. Anointing. I think it's more around, it's not a textbook thing. It's principle based. First things first is your company wants to adopt AI. If I were speaking to your company, I want to know your level of digitization. You understand? What is your digital maturity of your organization? Before I can even know your blind spots. So if you are the one that is already using technology for most of the things you do, it determines where your AI will start from. But if you are still the one that is taking files and disturbing the custom people, it's also a different level of maturity. We know where to start from. So you have to do honest retrospection, introspection, and reviews. So when you want to start this, first thing to establish is your digital maturity level. When you do that, then you now go into your process review and optimization. What are your processes looking like? What are the processes you have? What are the processes you don't have? What are the processes you need? Then the third part is what they call field normalization. Field normalization brings you into what are you consolidating? What part of the journey needs to be automated? What is taking the longest? What is repetitive? What is the government or the regulator saying you must do? So a lot of work goes on behind the scene before the application of AI. Except, of course, what your company just needs is a bit of ChatGPT to be chatting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've been an incredible, engaging audience. I'm going to throw the last one and it's a wrap. What would be your parting words? Or let me rephrase it. What is the question you wish we had asked you that you wanted to share on?
I think most of the things I would have wanted. I wanted more of abstract questions outside payment. And I think the lawyers took the day. And that's the truth. So
Thank you to the lawyers in the room.
And I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
That was a 1 hour time well spent. Let's give another resounding round of applause to our guest speaker and the moderator. Unfortunately, there is no monetary value attached to the win that our lawyers had just recorded. Okay, we go ahead with the program. Time is far spent. May I ask Bidia to play the visuals of Page Financials and Smart Cash PSP?
Welcome to Page International Finance Company Limited, your trusted partner for loans, investments, and seamless payments. Since 2014, Page Financials has empowered Nigerians with fast and flexible financial solutions, fully licensed by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Whether you're a salary earner looking to access up to 5 million naira with no collateral or a business owner seeking up to 20 million naira to grow your enterprise, we've got you covered. You can also earn more on your money with our high-yield investment options designed to support your long-term goals. Make seamless payments anytime and anywhere through our secure mobile app, USSD code, and debit card.
Contact us via customer@pagefinancials.com or call 0201-77243 or visit www.pagefinancials.com. Follow us on all social media at Page Financials. Page Financials, taking you further.
5 billion loan without collateral. Smart Cash PSB.
Obtain some Smart Cash. Obtain some Smart Cash. Obtain some Smart Cash. Obtain some Smart Cash.
Today and today, if I hear said any charges today,
I keep asking you to download the Smart Cash app and begin to enjoy zero charges on your transfers. No be cho.
If I hear say Smart Cash no charge you for these transactions, they make I bend.
No matter the transaction, Smart Cash no go charge you shishi. Whether na airtime or na data you buy, or you want pay for your light or na cable bill, na zero charges for Smart Cash. This one no be cho. Work is day. See.
Yeah. I don't download that.
Make you self download Smart Cash app or dial *939# sharp.
This program wouldn't have held. So we're on the home run, we're almost finishing. I have the honor to invite our Deputy President, Mr. Aki Oshutoke, standing in for President Chairman of Council, Prince Abimbola Olashere, to come and do the honors to our guest speaker, the moderator, and our sponsors. Let's give a resounding welcome to our Deputy President as he comes forward. Of course, undoubtedly, the first person to be honored this afternoon is our guest speaker, my friend Stanley, Dr. Stanley Jacob. Please come forward to receive your plaque. Let's appreciate him as he comes forward. Thank you, our guest speaker. Our moderator, Ms. Oluwatosin Olashende. Come and receive your plaque. Now let's appreciate Tosin Ahmed. She's done well. Yeah, she didn't miss her flight. She had to fly in to get this done. Thank you, Ms. Olashende. Our sponsors, Rise Vest Technologies Limited. That applause should reflect the money they gave us, please. Without their funds, we wouldn't have been here. Thank you, Rise Vest Technologies. Another sponsor, Aruwa Capital Management. Please, let's appreciate them as they come forward. Adesuwa is here by herself. That shows the importance she attached to this event. A round of applause. I'm sure with that viral interview, Aruwa Capital has exceeded all expectations for 2026. Let's appreciate Adesuwa as she goes forward, as she comes to her seat. Page International Financial Limited. Mr. Page himself is here too. In his glory, one of our vice presidents, Mr. Shegun Akintemi. Always bailing us out at different fora of the chamber. Let's appreciate him again. Then, of course, last but not the least, Smart Cash Payment Service Bank, a subsidiary of Airtel. Let's appreciate them. Especially for you guys that have an Airtel SIM. Let's appreciate your parent company, Airtel subsidiary Smart Cash. Okay. Mr. President, Mr. Deputy President, standing in for Mr. President, please. Let's do the honors of the photography. The guest speaker and the moderator, please come forward. Let's appreciate them as they come forward. That's our tradition of the chamber. Our leaders stand at the middle. If not, Tosin will have just gone, but she cannot be in the middle. Okay, Tosin, could you just step down? Guest speaker, please wait. Yourself and Mr. President. Our sponsors, please. The speaker, our sponsor, and our deputy president. Our sponsor should come forward, please. Smart Cash, Aruwa Capital, Page Financials, and Rise Vest. Let's appreciate them once more. We can never be tired of appreciating our sponsors for what they've done for this event to hold. Let's do the gender balancing. Please, moderator, join them. Please, Tosin. Please join, please. Pardon me. It's not going to affect your honorarium. Thank you so much. Our sponsors can step down. The speaker should wait. Council members, please join. There's only Mr. President alone on the side, please. Let's balance it. Thank you, members of council. Let's appreciate our council members. Mr. President, you can take a seat. Let's give that rousing applause once more. Finally, I have the honor to invite to the podium to give the vote of thanks the chairman of our MSME and NBCC Women and Youth Entrepreneurship Development Initiative Committee, Mrs. Adiola Aziz, one of the strong Amazons we have at the chamber. Mrs. Aziz is as hot as dynamite. I won't say beyond that.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be given this vote of thanks because it's an opportunity for me to add my comments to our guest speaker, Mr. Stanley Jacobs. Now, what I was going to say is that we've all been blessed and enriched. There are going to be mindset changes and reforms, definitely. So, Mr. Stanley Jacobs, like I told you, thank you for giving us the university talk of Stanley Jacobs University. And can you please clap? You may go for a hand massage after this because of the number of claps you have done today. But I think it's really, really deserving. And NBCC is truly, truly grateful to have had you enrich us today. So, this is in the starting. It says, we must build for what we want to become. Just take that home today. Build for what we want to become. So, on behalf of the chamber, I would like to thank our guest speaker, Mr. Stanley Jacob, our moderator, Mrs. Oluwatosin Olasende, our patrons, our EXCO members, and council members who are all here. All our distinguished guests, we have a full house. There are no chairs left. Thank you so much for honoring us. Partners, participants, for honoring our invitation and contributing to today's insightful discussions. Our sponsors. We value our sponsors. We treasure our sponsors at the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. RiseVest Technologies, thank you. Page Financials, thank you. Aruwa Capital Management, thank you. Smart Cash Payment Services Limited, thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, for coming, thank you. The Programs Committee, led by our Taj, thank you very much. And the NBCC headquarters and the successful organization for this event, thank you very, very much. Please take note, there's several upcoming events that you must also try to attend. We have our Meet the Governor, His Excellency, the Governor of Abia State, Governor Alex Oti, will be here, and he'll be discussing the repositioning Abia for enterprise, industrialization, and sustainable economic growth. This is happening on Thursday, September 10, 2026. Also to note is the NBCC Power Summit scheduled for Thursday, September 17, 2026. We also have the Advocacy Agri Roundtable scheduled for Thursday, September 29. All these are upcoming events worthy of note. The plaza, our plaza, is open with state-of-the-art facilities for you to explore for your corporate events, trainings, seminars, and meetings at an affordable rate. Yes, it's smelling. Okay, so you can reach out to the chamber headquarters, members of, and make inquiries and reservations. If you're interested in becoming a member of the chamber, please visit our website, www.nbcc.org.ng, or meet with the membership team at the registration desk. Finally, please follow us on all our social media handles for all our activities at the Chamber. Thank you very, very, very much.
Let's appreciate Ms. Aziz for those vote of thanks. Please, we shouldn't be scared. There's a fire incident, and that has been sorted, so that we shouldn't panic. All is well that ends well. The session has ended. Let's continue with the networking. Thank you, and thank you very much for coming. We're eager to receive you on September 10, when Dr. Alex Oti will be here, and also on September 17 at the NBCC Power Summit. Thank you, and thank you very much indeed.